Good day. This is Curtis Harris of Red Pill, Blue Pill Choices. In this season of electoral politics, especially for the President of the United States, it's very important to get as much information about who really runs the U.S. government. Today's video is by a gentleman by the name of Chris Williamson. And his guest is Tulsi Gabbard. And just to read a little bit about Tulsi Gabbard, who I find very, very interesting. Tulsi Gabbard was born April 12th, 1981, is an American politician, United States Army Reserve officer, and conservative political commentator who serves as U.S. Representative for Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District from 2013 to 2021. She became the first Samoan American voting member of Congress. She ran in the 2020 Democratic presidential primaries with her campaign for the 2020 presidential election. She left the Democratic Party in October 2022 to become an independent. Once again, I will say that again. She left the Democratic Party to become an independent. This is a very, very interesting lady. Her rank, she was a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations Command of the United States Army Reserve. She served in the Iraq War. She's been awarded the Combat Medical Badge and the Meritorious Service Medal. She was a Democrat, but now she's an independent. But what she says about who is really running the U.S. government, I find extraordinary interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to you Tulsi Gabbard.
Actually runs the government, in your experience?
Not who you think it is. It's and in many cases, especially recently, the troubling part about all this is it's not even people who we vote for. When you look at what happened when President Biden had that infamous debate with President Trump, it exposed the reality that many of us have known for a long time, which is that President Biden has not been the guy calling the shots. He has not been the guy making the decisions, nor has it been Kamala Harris, for that matter, nor will it be if she is elected president. It is this cabal of, the Democrat elite, the woke warmongers, made up of the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and, Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan and, people who are in the military industrial complex, people who profit from us being in a constant state of war. It is those in the administrative state and the national security state who derive more authorities and ability to take away our liberty when we are in a heightened state of crisis or war. It is their friends and billionaires and people in media who all derive their power from being able to have a figurehead that essentially they can control. And the most troubling part about, there's so many things wrong with this, of course, but really at the most fundamental level, you look at, our country is the oldest democracy in the world, but the reality of a truly functioning and thriving democracy that has brought to life the vision that our founders had for us, that we really have a government of, by, and for the people, and that we have the ability and responsibility, for that matter, to ensure that the government we have only exists with the consent of the governed. That becomes very hard to do, to hold people accountable when the person that you voted for is certainly not the one making the decisions.
How long has that been the case? Was it ever the case that the president ran the country? When was the inflection point?
I don't know that there's one specific. I mean, there has been, as personalities come in and shift here and there. I would say the answer to that has probably changed. But in the election that we are facing here very shortly in the United States, um, it's our opportunity to hit the reset button. And, however people feel about the choices and the options that we have, and they've changed a little bit recently, but really it's only the faces that have changed. The stakes have not changed. And the choices between the Democrat elite, and I've been saying this for months, like, hey guys, don't, because it's like, oh, is Biden going to stay or is he going to go? And who's they going to replace him? Is it Gavin? Is it all of these different theories? They make for good chatter, I guess, on cable news. But I've been telling people all along, don't be distracted. You take one horse out, you put another horse in, you've got the same people who are running the show. And it is between the Democrat elite, will be Kamala Harris on the ballot, and the those calling the shots behind the scenes continuing to remain in power versus Donald Trump, who has a record of, I mean, the reason why they're doing all they can to destroy him is because he won't bend the knee to this Washington establishment, which is made up of people in both political parties, by the way.
What makes you think that a Trump presidency would be any more inoculated against this nefarious behind the scenes control than the one that we have at the moment? Surely you're just, if the people out front don't make any difference because it's people behind the scenes that are changing, then what makes Trump any better than what we've got at the moment?
It's not that anyone who's put out front doesn't make a difference. It is specific to, in this world that we're living in now, specific to President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. And the reason why they've been doing all they can to try to keep Trump off the ballot in over 32 states, all of the court cases and lawsuits and everything that the media is throwing at him, the reason why they're doing that is because you may agree or disagree with his decisions or his policies or the way that he talks about things, but he is not beholden to those same establishment interests that so many of these establishment politicians are. And so he'll put forward, and that is, to me, that's the clear choice. You have a choice between those who believe that government knows better for us than we do, that their power is more important than our freedom,
Fair use.
that their power in many cases derives from being in a constant state of war that undermines our national security, versus Trump, who has the ability to and frankly the backbone to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to go down that road, or we're going to take a different path, or we shouldn't be in unnecessary counterproductive regime change wars. We should focus on investing in our country and try to work towards a future of peace and freedom and prosperity.
If that's correct, if it is the case that this sort of limp, flaccid Democratic Party has permitted people behind the scenes to come and basically run, puppeteer the people that are out front, that's happened very quickly, because it was not that long ago that we had the very guy that you're saying will sanitize this thing in office. So is it going to then take a long time for that to be cleaned up? And also, how do we know that some of this didn't already exist?
It did already exist.
Okay.
It did already exist. Because the party elite itself has been very powerful for a long time. So that hasn't come around very quickly. And I think one of the problems when President Trump was elected last time was, and he's talked about this himself. He came in and he'd never worked in Washington before, and he had ended up with a bunch of people around him who were a part of this establishment. This Washington establishment.
Do you think he didn't really have that much of a plan? Do you think it was a surprise to him that he got in some ways?
I don't know for sure, but it certainly seemed that way. Yeah, and I mean, there were it was interesting because the conversations that I'm hearing coming from even establishment Republicans right now are very similar to the ones that I heard in 2016 when Trump was elected, which was, okay, like, we gotta like balance the scales, in their words, by surrounding Trump with people who hold completely opposing views than he does, to try to mitigate what they view as the quote unquote threat that he poses to not the country.
Who is it that's saying that we need to surround him?
Oh, I mean, it's basically like the neocon warmongers, even within the Republican Party. So
And what do they see as the position he holds that they're trying to counterbalance?
that he and he's been pretty vocal about this. Like, he's like, no, we're not going to wage more stupid wars, and we're going to put America first, in his words, and we will achieve that by peace through strength.
Who wants war and why?
They would be shocked by how many people do. And they won't say, I want war, or I like to see more people dead. Of course, they won't use those words. But there are politicians who are beholden to the big defense contractors who are making billions and trillions of dollars. And they are their political donors and their supporters and their friends. And ultimately, it's those politicians whose knee-jerk reaction to any challenge or situation in the world, instead of choosing diplomacy and seeing war as the last resort once you've exhausted all other means, understanding how costly it is, both in lives and in taxpayer dollars, it's just, hey, we got to go and punish this bad guy, topple this regime, wage this modern day siege through economic sanctions and warfare, all of the tools that they have at their disposal, without thinking through what the cost and consequences of those actions and policies are.
Presumably on the ground and also economically, domestically too.
Both.
It seems, are these people...
And it's, by the way, it's not reflective of, I think, especially over these last 20 plus years, the vast majority of Americans, regardless of political party, are sick and tired of this. So their view is not reflective. They're not just like, oh, well, this is what the quote unquote people want. It is ultimately, it goes back to this kind of cabal of power that they're trying to hold on to.
Do you think that those people, I struggle to find or meet people that are genuinely evil. There's people that have got goals and then they're kind of risky and frivolous en route toward getting those goals. And you think, this is just collateral damage. Who really cares? I'm getting my backhander from Raytheon or whoever the fuck. But it seems surprising to me that someone would think, I want to go to war. So do you think that these people that are pushing for it genuinely believe that it's in the best interests of the country? Have they been able to gaslight themselves, this Stockholm syndrome from whoever is sort of continuing to fund them? Or is it something a little bit more malicious? Are they actually sort of trying to land grab or this sort of odd power game that I imagine it feels powerful for you to be America and for you to have a foothold here and have a foothold there? Have you got any idea what kind of motivates these people?
I think they tell themselves whatever they need to tell themselves to sleep at night. But as someone who's been, I still serve in the Army today. I've been deployed to war zones in different parts of the world, seeing and experiencing firsthand the harsh ugliness and realities of war and the costs. The people who are so quick to go to war and see that as the first response rather than the last, number one, they don't have any excuse. I don't believe everybody should, it's mandatory to serve them. I don't advocate for that. But if you are in a position to make these decisions about war and peace, you need to be very responsible and do your due diligence to actually truly understand what the consequences of those decisions will be.
Might be worth a quick visit to the front lines, maybe.
They do those all the time for photo ops. I saw this while I was deployed, and I've seen a bunch even when I was in Congress for 8 years, where they'll go and they'll do like, we'll stop here in this war zone for 12 hours and hop off the private plane and take some quick photos and wear your flak vest and the helmet for the picture. But it's it's
visually impressive, but like
I
realistically
suppose.
unimpressed.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really goofy to me, but for them, it tells a
Can
good
perhaps
story.
pick apart where they are.
I've heard those, like, I've been to Iraq 27 times. It's like, okay. Like,
The air-conditioned jet wasn't good.
and yet, even those who are saying this are some of the very same people who are saying, like, we should just go bomb this country to smithereens. Like, okay, like, there's maybe a real big problem that we're dealing with here. But is that really the right answer? Is that the best answer? What happens as the second and third and fourth order of effects after we do what you're proposing? What will the costs and consequences be, again, in human lives and economy and in all of these other ramifications that a responsible leader should be considering before you go and advocate for such a serious thing?
So it seems like you've got Democratic Party not happy with Trump generally, some factions of the Republican Party not happy with Trump. So it seems like,
And Nikki Haley, just to put a name to Nikki Haley, is one of kind of the figureheads of that faction within the Republican Party.
So Nikki Haley is driving forward this neocon,
Yeah, very much so.
warmongering.
Yeah.
How come she's still there?
Because there are people with a lot of money who make money from that position or supporting that position. And they see, again, I don't know what they tell themselves to be able to sleep at night and be comfortable with what they're doing. But they have convinced themselves that this is the way things should be.
That's what makes me think that it is self-conviction as opposed to leading this sort of double life where you know that it's wrong and then you go out front, because the level of certainty that you need to be able to step out in front of the camera and we should do this, we need to do that. You go home and you drink yourself into a hole, because there would be, for me, the, just straight up multiple personality disorder that I'd have to go through would break my brain in half. I don't think that
you're a good person.
Well, other people would disagree, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it's just.
But it's like, okay, well, I get what you're driving at, and like, okay, well, how do you define someone who was evil or driven by evil intent? I would argue that even if there's not like some Jekyll and Hyde situation going on, I would define that evil intent as someone who cares more about their position, their political position, or their power, or their influence. And I definitely, in certain cases, and this is why Kamala Harris would be so dangerous as president and commander in chief, because I have no doubt in my mind she would immediately feel the need to exert strength and to assert her position and prove that she is a truly strong and powerful commander in chief of the United States of America's military. And what better way to do that? What more effective way to do that than to actually use our military and go out and commit an act of.
And this is why this video is so important to me. I have young children. Actually, my youngest is 18, of drafting age. And not that I am averse to, joining the military and serving in the armed forces. I come from a family of soldiers and Navy and Air Force people. My own mother and father were in the Army in Korea. My grandfather was in the cavalry in World War One or World War Two, I think it was. I have a cousin. She was in the Air Force. I have a nephew who's in the Navy right now. I have another cousin who served in the Army. So I have family that truly believes in serving this nation, and I believe in serving this nation as well. But I am not going to vote for someone who I believe is a warmonger, who I truly, truly believe in my heart of hearts that they will risk putting American lives at risk just to prove a point. Basically, because they are puppets of the military industrial complex, Once again, this is about who actually runs the U.S. government, not the figurehead. Identity politics is out. I don't care if you're a black man, black woman, white woman. I'm looking at your policy, your politics. What do you believe in? Do you believe in America first? Do you believe in securing American interest at home and abroad? Or are you simply a puppet for the powers that be, the quote unquote establishment? I wanted you to see this, and please go to Chris Williamson's YouTube page. He has very interesting content. And once again, this is Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, Tulsi Gabbard. Gabbard. I hope you will continue to watch the remainder of this video and form your own opinions. But you will be informed. If all hell breaks loose, I don't want their, your blood to be on my hands. This is Curtis Harris of Red Pill, Blue Pill Choices. The mission of this channel is to present you with facts, life-altering facts that are considered objectively verifiable truth. And it's for you to make a decision. Are you a red pill person? Do you accept reality and the truth? Or are you a blue pill person and you want to stay asleep? But the choice is yours. All right. So once again, thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe to our channel. We want to continue to present good content for you, for thinking people and non-thinking people. But we want to motivate you to seek your higher and your best interest. Once again, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.